Welcome to Foundations TV. Today we are here to discuss about marketing and enterprise. Many entrepreneurs out there may create a new venture, but they may not have the fundamentals of marketing. And to help these entrepreneurs and to help the students who are looking for a career after they graduate from school, we have with us Professor Anirudh Dhebar from Babson College. He has been with Babson, and prior to that, he was in faculty with Harvard Business School and Sloan School of Management, MIT. Professor Anirudh, welcome to Foundations TV.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity.
Great. So let's start off immediately with some exciting topics.
Okay.
We have many entrepreneurs out in the community who want to start a venture, but at the same time, when they think about marketing, they will think about brochures and catalogs or other things.
Right.
Can you help them decipher this whole marketing?
Well, let me first state something which people do not know about me. I studied in the 1970s in a business school in India, at IIM Calcutta, and I graduated in 1975, and I concluded two things. One is I hated business schools, and second, I hated marketing. And this is relevant in the context of your question because in some sense what I found when I studied marketing was it was less than satisfying, which is the most charitable way to put it. It was all fuzzy, and there was no sense of a clear answer. I abandoned marketing with a barge pole. I stayed away from business schools. I did a PhD in engineering and economics, and then I started teaching of all places at Harvard Business School, which is a business school. As I went through my career evolution, completely by accident, I ended up in a role where I was asked by participants in a program I was teaching to teach marketing. So in some sense, I came into the marketing discipline not out of academic learning, but much more in response to demand by customers. And I mention this because this has played a significant role in my conceptualization of what marketing is, what it ought to be, and how we can practice it. So that's a preamble, if you will, to your question. So if you survey the world around and if you ask people, by and large the response people will give for many different enterprises and many different verticals is marketing is all about marketing communications and brochures. And to some extent this pain is self-inflicted because of how marketers might conduct themselves. But if you think about it from a customer's point of view, okay, you and I are all consumers. We go to a store, we buy this, we buy that, and as we are making our choices, we compare option one, for example, with all the different options available out there. Right. And that's how most consumers decide. And wouldn't it be refreshing to approach marketing not from the perspective of a marketing discipline that has been learned in academia, but much more from the orientation of consumers and customers. So what do I think about? I consider different options, and what am I thinking is, well, what is it for me? So that is playing a role in people's minds as they're making choices, and maybe that might be a starting point for marketing. So as I think about marketing, in my mind it's very simple at one level. There are three significant domains around which marketers must make decisions. And as I outline the three domains, I'm not trying to suggest by any means that there's a sequence, and you're supposed to approach it linearly and sequentially from first to the second to the third, but much more the fact that once the three domains are known, how do we make decisions with significant internal consistency and cohesion across the three elements, at the same time thinking of the opportunity for innovation. So let me kind of identify what the three elements might be.
That will be helpful.
Yeah. One, and a critical element which shapes and defines not just marketing but the entire business enterprise, if I will, is what would be captured by three letters of the English alphabet, S, T, and P. segmentation, targeting, and positioning. A marketer has a significant responsibility in any enterprise to give meaning to these three elements. How are we to segment the market we are going to serve? And I mean serve. I don't mean offer products to, but indeed serve. Once we decide how we're going to segment, how do we choose which segment or segments to go after, which is targeting?
Right.
And third and most critical is, given our choice of target segments, how do we position our offering given the alternatives that are available to them?
Right.
And that positioning, as I put it to my students, has to be crisp and not soggy. Far too often you see soggy positioning, and indeed what only works is really crisp positioning. So that's one decision element. Segmentation, targeting, and positioning. Second element of decisions relates to what I would call crafting the value proposition. Not merely scientifically designing, not whimsically coming up with, but indeed crafting. Bringing science as well as the liberal arts together to craft a value proposition in its most compelling terms. And what I mean by value proposition is, from a customer's point of view, what are the benefits or the gains they should expect out of your offering, and to avail themselves of the gains or the benefits, what might be some costs or pains that they would incur. So the value proposition is a calculus in a customer's mind, and different segments, different target customers might have very different calculus in their minds. Of on one hand, the gains they would derive, on the other hand, the pains they will feel.
Right.
So as a marketer, you are responsible for making sure you craft the most compelling value proposition. And the third element is, don't just stop there. Okay? You cannot just propose value, because there are too many value propositions out there. Make sure you actually deliver the value. So propose compelling value propositions, but also deliver them in the most compelling fashion possible.
That's an excellent way of putting the whole marketing approach and entrepreneur, any enterprise should be thinking about.
Yes.
Because we have seen many times that you go out and buy a product, you are compelled to buy it, but what you thought the product does and what it actually does are two different things.
Sure.
That creates a gap between what the marketing message was and what the reality was.
That's a good point, and you use the word product, and I have tried purposely to stay away from the word product. I said offering, because in some sense, you as the marketer or you as the supplier of products might take great pride in the products you come up with.
Right.
Let me break the bad news to you. Customers don't buy products, they buy solutions to problems. Okay, they don't buy products, they buy solutions to problems. And therefore the way to think about it is, okay, what problem of the customer am I solving through my offering?
Great.
What benefits would they derive from that solution? And as it happens, there are costs they would incur. So don't peddle features and products to customers. Indeed, offer solutions to their problems. At the same time, do not focus perhaps selfishly on the price you would collect, but think with some sympathy and empathy as to the cost they might incur. So if you're truly aware of the customer's gains and pains, or benefits and costs, you are much more on top of the value proposition that they might derive availing themselves of your offering.
Very nicely put. So all the entrepreneurs out there, if you do not have the marketing background, stick to these fundamentals. Focus on the customer, what the customer's need is, forget about the product, and make sure what problem you are trying to solve and offer them a solution to their problems. And as he rightly put yourself in your customer's shoes and empathize with them. If you are a customer, would you be willing to get the offering that you are trying to position in the marketplace? That's an excellent way of putting things.
Thank you.
That takes it to a different level altogether beyond brochures and social marketing. It makes it a lot more real in terms of thinking about the framework of marketing.
And the story is not yet complete, and
Okay.
I want to make sure that we don't lose sight of the following. You can propose all the value you want. You can be as innovative in the proposition of value. But remember, that's just a starting point. The customer eventually needs the value to be delivered. And
Right.
far too many marketers lose sight of that fact. And what is value delivery? Well, value delivery is about bringing your value proposition and your customers together in their comfort zone, on their turf, not on your turf.
Right.
So never forget that the game is not about composing the best possible letter, but making sure the other side receives the letter, gets the message. That's all about value delivery. And value delivery requires attention to be paid not only to the distribution of your offering, but also all the communication surrounding your offering, and most critically, the experience the customer goes through as they avail themselves of the offering.
Very
And
nicely
you
put.
miss any of those three elements, you miss on compelling value delivery.
You are absolutely right. Because if you put yourself in the customer's shoes, and that's exactly what you're echoing back to an enterprise. Excellent. So while we're on this topic, let's move on to a different segment, which is students who are in school or who are about to graduate.
Right.
How should they figure out, because the world is changing around them so fast, how should they figure out what the future is for them?
Well, I don't know how to help them figure out what the future for them is, except the future will be, in all certainty, different from what they thought it would be. So I think what a student should be thinking about is being in school not to acquire just frameworks or formula or theory or perspectives or 2x2s or matrices or whatever it is. Okay, there are far too many of those around. I think what a student has to think about is the following question, which I came across now almost 7 years ago, completely out of accident in a reading I was preparing before class. And the question is very simple on the face of it, and yet once you digest it, extremely powerful and compelling in guiding you forward. The question is the following: how do I best prepare myself and whichever enterprise of which I might be a part or that I might craft to thrive in the world of tomorrow? That's the central question. How do I best prepare myself and my enterprise to thrive in tomorrow's world? As you decompose this question, let's do it backwards. First of all, it requires making sense of today's world and all the forces that might be reshaping, or indeed reshaping, or fundamentally transforming the world of today into some uncertain world of tomorrow. So for that I need critical skills, if you will, in making sense of the world and the transformations at play, so I can envision what possible worlds of tomorrow might be. Not necessarily probable worlds, but possible worlds of tomorrow might be. Having done that, going backward in the question, the next phrase to focus your minds on is thriving in that world. Not just surviving, not just hanging on, not just making do with, but indeed truly with significant positive energy thriving. And then finally, the starting phrase of the question, how do I best prepare myself and my enterprise? So if you want to think about preparing for tomorrow, I strongly urge every student out there to keep this question central in their minds.
Great.
That's point number one. Point number two, do not think about some job search at some point in life as being a job search. Think indeed instead of your quest for a vocation that you will find truly, truly satisfying.
Excellent. Very nicely put. So with these messages, I'm sure the students out there, the entrepreneurs or would-be entrepreneurs, would have taken some fundamental lessons on how they should be thinking about the future and the community and society that they live in. Because at the end of the day, we are all here to add value to the community and society that we belong to. So with that, I really appreciate your coming to Foundation TV.
Thank you.